Hello, this is the speaking test of the English language testing system taking place on the 28th of March 2024. Center number DDC 215 and the candidate is Peter Clever. The candidate number is 0013128. The examiner's name is Mr. Samson Sees. My exam number is 4221 D0. The time here in Canada is just 9 p.m. and I guess the time there in Uganda is about 9 a.m. So, good afternoon. My name is Samson Sees. Would you please tell me your name?
Sure, my name is Senyonjo Peter Clever.
Oh, wonderful. Can I see your identification card, please?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Just a moment. All right, thank you so much. So in the first part of the exam, I'll ask you, some personal questions. All right, Mr. Peter, are you ready? Okay, let's get started. Where do you live?
I reside on the outskirts of Masaka City, which is located 100 kilometers south of the capital, specifically in a two-bedroom detached house, which I share with my wife and 2 kids.
Do you work or study?
My student days are behind me, I'm afraid, so I currently work as a nurse in one of the reputable health organizations in my home country. I've worked there for the past 4 years, and I really do love it.
And you like your hometown?
Definitely, yes, I do love the place where I reside simply because there are a number of amenities around, like gyms, good transport network.
So, let's talk about reading. Do you enjoy reading?
Absolutely, yes, reading is my cup of tea. It all started when I was still a child. Actually, by the end of next week, I will have bought a couple of books from the library, which is...
Do you prefer to read news in print or online?
Just have to say, in as much as there are too much online newspapers nowadays, I'm still inclined to the ones on hard paper, simply because you feel the connection and the...
Have you ever been persuaded to buy something just because of an advert?
So embarrassed about that question, simply because there's when I bought some Nike shoes, simply because an elite athlete was wearing them on a transit advert.
Okay, thank you so much. That's the end of part 1 speaking. Now in part 2, I'll give you a card with a topic and we'll talk about a topic for 2 minutes and you have 1 minute to think about it. You can just make some notes. Here is just a small piece of paper and a pencil. So make some notes if you really wish to. Do you understand? Okay, so you're gonna describe a novel, your favorite novel, which you had maybe in primary or secondary, and you really have 1 minute to think about this, and after that, I'll just give you 2 minutes. So, could you please get started now? All right, Mr. Peter, that's the end of the 1 minute. Could you please talk about the topic? So start now.
Right, speaking of a book which I love the most, I can definitely think about Animal Farm. I remember we used to read this book in the first year of secondary school, and it was just a book of of about 105 pages. And as far as my memory serves me right, it was written by a British author named Mark Twain. He's actually a famous British author, simply because he has written a number of novels. For instance, Tom Sawyer, Huckleberry Finn. So his books are definitely interesting and they are very easy to read. That's why I would definitely recommend it to my classmates or even my friends at work. About this book, I can say that it was about these animals. It was more of pigs, goats, horses, bulls, and then the master of these animals, his name was Mr. Jones. So it was Mr. and Mrs. Jones. In as much as they were the head of these animals, looking after these animals, they never actually gave them feeds. And one day, the older pig, his name was Old Major, decided to rebel against the master. So what he did on the day before his death, he decided to just make a meeting and decided to educate these animals on how the master was mistreating them, and it was outrageous because...
Okay, Peter, thank you so much. Your 2 minutes time is up. So let's move on to part 3. Part 3, I'll just ask you a few questions related to the topic that we discussed in part 2. So this was just about reading books. So let's get started. Is it a good thing to read books?
Definitely, yes. Reading comes with a number of benefits and advantages. First and foremost, the first pro is that it's informative. It gives you a baseline knowledge. For instance, if you don't know, how to rear pigs, and then you read the book, at least it will give you a glance on how you can start on piggery farming. So another benefit about reading is that it can take...
Okay, do people in your country love reading books?
Fortunately, not all of them. It all depends on their rank, or even their jobs. For instance, in the corporate society, the lawyers, they read books on a daily basis. They can read 2 books like in a week, and that's simply because of their profession. On the other hand, business people don't actually read so many books because I guess their business...
Do you think online books will replace the real ones someday in the near future?
To be honest, I don't really think so. Simply because in as much as online books are becoming a buzz, they are becoming a hit and they're becoming more common, books which are written in paper, they give you that touch with the ink. So I really do not think that they replace them. Another reason is that back in the day...
All right, that's the end of the speaking test. So thank you so much, Mr. Peter. So I'll just give you your feedback after I say, just give me some few minutes. All right, Mr. Peter, I've just finished compiling your band score. But before I tell you your marks, how did you feel throughout the test? How was the test?
To be honest, at the beginning, I was so nervous. I didn't know what to say.
Yes, of course, it's very normal to feel that way. You really don't know what's to come. So it's very okay to feel nervous and shaky. But with the time, if you have a great examiner and a joy examiner, you will feel very relaxed all the time. So let me check you. So your band score is 8.5, which is a really great score. Yeah, I'm here to, go deep dive the nitty-gritty in every band descriptor. So anyway, Peter, yeah. So let's first start with fluency and coherence. I loved the way you were, fluent. Your speech was, was constant throughout. There were some arms and some pauses, but those pauses were natural, just like a native speaker. And what I can say is that they were idea related, not language related. You weren't looking for like an idiom or a word, but you were just looking for an idea, and it's perfectly very normal, guys. Let's first move. Anyway, Peter Clever. Let's first move on to coherence. Coherence. I loved it. The linking words were well used. I loved the way you used to, reference the question when you had nothing to say. I guess at times you went off topic, but which is okay, especially when it comes to, part two. It's very okay to deviate of the topic. And one thing I must say, guys, is that you have to, complete the full 2 minutes. Guys, don't try to stop. Don't, even if you lack something to say, try to at least get off topic. But always allow, the examiner to first stop you. Always allow the examiner to first stop you, guys. Well, I love your speed. It's very important that you speak at a slow pace so that you don't speak much faster than the brain. Remember, this is an English test and they are not even marking your ideas. We just want you to speak for a long time. So the slower you speak, the more time you're buying for yourself. That's a good trick, guys. Let's move on to vocabulary, which is, lexical resource, the second band descriptor. I really loved the way you paraphrased and used synonyms. It was spot on. I loved that. Great number of synonyms were used. For instance, when I said, you said, reading is my cup of tea. It works as an idiom. At the same time, it's more of, paraphrasing, guys. I really love that. You didn't have any struggle in finding this vocabulary. You also used, a wide range of vocabulary, and I really don't want to make this video, so long, but everything was just spot on. And I'm going to tell you why you really missed the 0.5 at the very end. Let's move on to grammatical range and accuracy. Yes, your tenses, you had a little bit of complex structures, a variety of sentences. Your grammar was on point, like it was spot on. If you force me to repeat that word, everything was just on point, I must say. And yes, so last but not least, pronunciation. You really spoke like as though you were a native speaker. And by saying this, it doesn't mean you to change your accent or force accent. No, stay in your accent. Don't try to force accent on the IELTS test. This is not an accent test. It's an English test. So anyway, guys, first of all, I loved your articulation. I loved your word stress, your intonation. You weren't flat, but you had word stress, which I really loved so much. So that's why you scored an 8.5. The reason as to why you missed out and didn't get that maximum band of band 9, it's simply because your level of English wasn't that of a C1 level. For instance, when they ask you something, does this, and then you say it depends. This is like a C2 level. But if you say it's not set in stone, that's like a high, Cambridge level. That's the only that missed. But otherwise, I hope you're really pleased with the mark. Yeah, so thank you so much, by the way, for hosting me. I guess your viewers will learn something from this.